Hello and welcome back, and today I'm going to give you a sort of early autumn garden tour update thing. I do this normally the mid of each season, so I did spring and now I've done midsummer and now I'm on to mid-autumn, and I can't really believe it's already autumn, but the weather is definitely feeling a lot colder. And firstly I'll probably talk about my vegetable patch, and then I'll talk to you about my flower garden behind, and then my greenhouse, just like I always do. And the vegetable patch has come on a very long way since I last did this, because last time I did it the runner beans were probably only about that long, and now we're picking fresh runner beans every day, which is really tasty and really exciting. I reckon that we'll probably be starting to get bored of runner beans very soon, because we're having a lot of them every day, and that's what normally happens, is we get bored of the same thing every day for a few months. Before we get on with the video, I'd just like to make sure that you've gone down below, hit the subscribe button as well as the little bell icon to make sure you're notified next time I upload a new video. But anyway, let's get on with the video. So as I said, we'll start on the vegetable patch. So I'm down here at this end of the vegetable patch, and down here in my mini food forest, as you may have seen from the opening shots, I've already got a lot of sunflowers all open and flowering, and I've also finished picking all of the blackcurrants, and I've now made them into about 6 jars of jam, which I gave away to some people and kept a lot for ourselves, because that'll be a tasty homegrown addition to our food throughout the winter. And the buckets where I was growing potatoes, I've now harvested all of the Charlotte and main crop potatoes that we were growing in the last video, and I've replaced them with another load of I've put in some like new potatoes that had sprouted from the house. They were organic local ones, so they should be fine. But I think these ones here have got blight in, but we can sort that out. We'll just pick them early. And then moving down here, I've got some Swedes. They were still in, and these, I haven't done anything with them. I've weeded around them the other day, and they're just there ready to keep growing on until Christmas time. And then down here, I've got autumn carrots, or autumn king carrots. Down there I've got leeks, kohlrabi, and then another row of Swede seeds that I sowed the other day when I was out in the garden. And then I've got this Taunton perennial kale, which has been here for over a year. And this is really nice. This is actually my favourite kale I've ever eaten, because the leaves on something like Cavolo Nero kale are normally a bit bitter, but these ones are certainly not bitter. They're really sweet when they've been steamed, so I really like them, and we'll be picking more of them throughout the year, especially for Christmas. And then down here I've got some sprouts, and then my gherkin cucumbers, which have not done well at all this year. I think they're a greenhouse variety and I've grown them outside. So next year I'm going to grow a specific outdoor variety of cucumber so that I can get bigger cucumbers as well, because I wanted long cucumbers, and so that they don't go funny outside when it starts getting cold. So yeah, I've got sprouts here. I tidied these up the other day as well. And then my tomato that I'm growing outside, my moneymaker tomato, has got tomatoes coming on it, and it's still flowering. And then I've got my cabbage, swede, another row of swede, and carrot bed there. The carrots are an early Nantes variety, so they're still growing and they'll be harvested probably by the end of September. And the swede then are a bit younger than the ones back there, so these should be ready a bit later, so that we'll have a continuous crop. And the cabbage is actually doing really well. I've never grown cabbage before here, so that cabbage is very exciting. So now we're coming over here, and at the end of that bed I've still got my sprouts, beetroot and Swiss chard. They're just growing on slowly. And then here I've got my peas and my Shiraz Monge 2, which are just purple varieties, and they're gone a bit funny in the wind, to be honest, and they flopped over in the wind earlier in the year, and now they're just looking really messy, but they're still producing some pods, so I might save those seeds. But then I'm not sure I'm going to grow this variety again next year, so I might not bother saving the seeds. But I am definitely going to save the seeds from the Monge 2, because they've been really productive. And then the runner beans here, these are, as I said earlier in the video, doing really well, picking them a lot now, and all of the choy and the stuff growing underneath the structures of these have all finished now, and we've eaten them. And I've also got 2 nasturtium plants, and one of them has gone wild, and it could actually be the world's longest nasturtium plant. Who knows? Where does it start? Where does it end? Nobody knows. But what we do know is that it's one huge plant, because it goes from where I'm standing over here, and it goes all the way across over here. So I think it's probably about 3.5 meters in full length. I haven't measured it completely because it winds between everything. It goes through the runner beans on the floor, and then it climbs over this pea structure, and then down over the ground again, and then it's starting to climb up my willow tree that's in a pot, and starting to go up towards the top of the roof of that shed that's there. So hopefully it'll keep going longer and longer, and I might be able to get it to the end of my garden, and that'd be really cool. Maybe I should enter it to get a world record. I'm not sure that I'd win though. There's probably much longer nasturtium plants in the world. But anyway, that's the silly stuff out of the way. These are my runner beans, and I finished pinching them out in the tops now, because now they're producing beans. I've been picking the bottom ones, but for more flowers to come, I want to just let them grow wild now and try and get as many flowers on the top as I can, because I've picked all the beans from the lower ones, or most of the beans anyway, so that'll keep them going. And I'm not sure that you can see here, there's a nasturtium plant growing up the runner bean structure there. It's just huge, and the flowers are really nice because they're a different, like, they're yellow with red and orange in them in stripes. They're really nice. But anyway, now I'll move down to the rest of the garden. So we're down here now by the raspberries, and the raspberries are giving us our autumn crop now, because they crop in early summer and in autumn, this variety. I'm not sure what variety it is. This has also got nasturtium growing through it, surprise surprise. And the raspberries fell over in the wind because the twine holding them up snapped, so I've put new twine over them, around them. And then this winter, when I prune them, I'll be staking them all up properly. Behind that, the currants are all finished as well. And then strawberries, as you'll know if you watched my strawberry video recently, they're still just growing along, not fruiting or anything. We're harvesting broad beans now from that bed, and the broad beans, we're probably getting a handful of pods each day, which is quite alright. And I don't eat broad beans because I don't really like the taste of them compared to the other beans. And then I've got potatoes I planted in the green bed and some beetroot. But before I speak any more about down there, I'll go down there and show you properly. So I'm down here now, and I'll start closest to the camera. So this is a bed which is made out of old pallets, like square bits of pallet that we had left. So we just stacked them up, screwed them together, and they're working quite well. And I filled it up with soil from when I was cleaning this gravel here, because there's a lot of soil in it. I filled it up with that soil and with compost from, like, old potting compost from old pots. I've got some Monge 2 in here ready for autumn and winter crop. I've also got 2 kohlrabi plants, did have 3, but the slugs had one of them. And I've also got some salad bowl lettuce, which is cut and come again. And then down here I've got 2 courgettes, and these have done awfully, if I'm honest. I'm not sure whether it's the soil or anything like that, but I've been feeding them as well and they're not doing too well. So next year I think I'm going to grow the same varieties I grew last year, which is the yellow, like, bull courgettes, and they did really well last year. I got some really big ones, and I even managed to get enough to make some courgette cake, which was really tasty. So then I've got my Cavolo Nero kale and 2 rows there, which is autumn carrots, autumn king carrots, and also some Swedes, which are the variety Tweed F1. And I think that's just about it for the main vegetable growing space here. But actually, there's another food crop here that I've been forgetting about, which is the apples. And the apples, we've been making a few crumbles already, and so have the wasps, because the wasps have been loving these apples. And I don't know whether they're having apple and blackberry crumble or what, but they must be making something tasty with them. And I think I'm going to be making some apple juice later with our juice and our crusher, which I will link down below if you want to get a good apple juicer and crusher. This one makes really big apples that are full eaters. If you eat them, you just like, your face just goes. Those ones are little eater ones, like smaller ones. Then there's another tree the other side of the garden, and they're slightly sweeter, and you can get away with eating them if you're brave enough. So I'm over here now in my flower garden, and it's basically the same, but the plants have gotten bigger. So there's a mallow flower, and that's actually one of my favourite flowers in the garden at the moment. The dahlia hasn't flowered amazingly, but I need to split it up next year to refresh it a bit, because the root ball is huge. And then it's just generally how the flower garden normally is. I've put these in here, which are supposed to get earwigs to live in them, and then you can move them elsewhere. So you can move the earwigs to somewhere like an apple tree where they can eat the wasps and the aphids, or the wasps can eat them. So they haven't worked yet, as with most things in my garden, but it was an experiment. It doesn't really use anything, so it doesn't hurt me at all. I've planted a lupin in there, ready for next year to have a nice show there. And then that bed, I haven't changed at all. That bed is exactly the same as it was in the last tour. That shows how much work I put into my vegetable garden over my flower garden. And there's a wallflower, actually, a perennial wallflower behind the camera, which is completely, on a sunny day, not like today, is completely filled with red admiral butterflies and some cabbage whites as well. The butterflies just love the perennial wallflower, so if you can grow one, make sure you grow a perennial wallflower if you want to attract butterflies into your garden. So I'm filming this after lunch actually, but on the same day, because a huge rainstorm just came through. But I'm over here now by my butternut squash, and there's actually a baby butternut squash coming on the plant here. There's also a lot of male flowers and female flowers on this plant, but it's yet to flower, so hopefully it will. And I'm not really sure on squashes, so if you know anything that I don't, so if you know when they start to flower, then please let me know down below, because I'm not sure whether they're meant to flower in the summer or in autumn, so I'm not sure, so let me know down below. And then behind me here is my greenhouse, so I'll show you around here in a minute. But on the right here I've got the earwig catcher like I spoke about earlier, and I've also got my lupins that are not flowering now, but they still look pretty with their big leaves with lots of different fingers on them. And I've also got all of my forget-me-not plants here that are ready to be planted out if and when they're needed. So over here now in the greenhouse, and I'm sat down here low because it's windy and I don't want to pick up any wind noise on my microphone. So over here I've got a pepper plant, which, I'll be honest, I know I always say you should remember to water your greenhouse, but yesterday I forgot to water my greenhouse and this pepper plant wilted. And then I've got 3 tomatoes, the dried gork, the red dragon, and they haven't started ripening yet, but there's some big tomatoes on them now. And I've also got my dried gork tomato cuttings that I grew from suckers, which I might try and overwinter, so that they are my next year's growing stock, so I can grow tomatoes from them next year. I've also got a lot of cuttings that are rooted, because you know I took loads of root cuttings a few months ago. So I've got honeysuckle, I'll just run you through them quickly. Perennial wallflower, which is great for butterflies, as I said earlier. And then I've also got rosemary and, well, I'm not sure this one is actually rooted because there's no roots coming out the bottom. But what has happened is there's this bleeding heart. I took a cutting, a softwood cutting from it, and I put it in some soil with vermiculite, and it's actually it's growing new stuff, like new growth, but there's no roots. So I'm not sure whether that one's actually going to work, but hopefully it will. And then apart from that, that's about it. There's some heuchera leaf cuttings, but I don't know if you can take leaf cuttings from them or not. But they haven't died yet, so I'm supposing that they are absorbing the water. And then I've got bell peppers, and then at the bottom I've got an avocado tree that I grew from an avocado seed or pip or whatever you want to call it, and that's doing really well now as well. So I'll show you some of that now. And I simply planted it in some water. It rooted. I planted it in a big pot like it is in now, and it's just taken off recently, and I'll probably bring this inside to a heated house over winter so that it doesn't get too cold. So thank you very much for watching until the end of this video. I really hope you did enjoy seeing my garden in probably early autumn, to be honest. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please let me know in the comments and subscribe and like this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.